At 27, losing this job, I was like scraping up change to put gas in the car to go to interviews. I'd wasted 3 years of my life in the entertainment industry at that time, or so I thought. I was like, I'm 27. I don't have a pot to piss in. I've wasted all this time. I don't know what to do with my life. And I was freaked out. I got out of a relationship I'd been in for 6 years that wasn't healthy. It was all a blessing, but at the time, you're like, whoa, this is dark.
Welcome to Imposters, the show where I have revealing conversations with world-class execs, athletes, and entertainers about their personal challenges and how overcoming those challenges has shaped their careers and lives for the better. I'm your host, Alex Lieberman, co-founder and executive chairman of Morning Brew. My guest today is Jillian Michaels. Jillian is a health and fitness expert, an Emmy-nominated TV personality, and the author of 8 New York Times best-selling books. Jillian's massively popular home workout videos made her a household name in the early aughts, and today, Jillian boasts an audience of millions across her various platforms, including social media and her podcast, Keeping It Real, Conversations with Jillian Michaels. Jillian is a prominent voice in the health and fitness world, and at times she's even been something of a controversial figure, including for her involvement on the weight loss reality show, The Biggest Loser. But what some people might not realize is that behind this confident and tough public persona that Jillian has exemplified for so long is someone who has had a long history of depression. We get into Jillian's on and off battle with depression, as well as how she handles the scrutiny as a public figure right after this quick break. Staying hydrated is one of the simplest ways that you can take care of yourself and your health. It can also be one of the first things to become an afterthought when your focus gets pulled away. Ac+ion charged alkaline water can make it easier and more enjoyable to keep up with hydration. Ac+ion water goes through a multi-stage purification and filtration process to ensure it's at peak quality. Ac+ion water is at a 9.5 pH level or higher at the time of bottling. Plus, there are electrolytes added for taste with no sodium added. Learn more at drinkaction.com. That's drinkaction.com. Jillian Michaels, thank you so much for joining Imposters.
Thank you for having me. You have such a great background. You look
I
like
know.
you're at a club.
The Morning Brew team hooked it up. It's the $20 blue Amazon lights in the background that really fill out the room.
Is that what it is? I need
That's
that
it.
in my life, babe.
We'll give you the full stack after. We'll shoot you a list of everything.
Okay. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Of course, our pleasure. So you are arguably one of the most well-known names in fitness and nutrition, and you've had this incredible career in the space, from starring as a personal trainer on The Biggest Loser to founding your own wellness empire, Empowered Media, to writing 8 New York Times best-selling books on health and fitness. I'm just trying to embarrass you as much as possible. But
no.
But to take it back,
the Emmy nomination, which by the way I did not win. Not win. Did I say that?
No. It sounds like there are no hard feelings at all.
No.
But to
Only
take
when
this back to
the award to Jamie Oliver, but that's okay. I'm not mad about it.
But to take this back to the beginning, I would love to just hear where this passion for the industry started. So when did you first become interested in fitness?
Gosh, I'm kind of the anti, right? And I mean that literally. I was your absolute cliche. The overweight kid, big nose, bad skin, braces, gay, didn't know I was gay, but like everybody else knew I was gay at a time when it was not cool to be gay. And I was just the quintessential, sorry to say, the loser kid, the one everybody called the loser. So my mom felt so bad for me. She was looking for a community outside of school. And my parents were in the middle of divorce. She got me into martial arts. And I ended up loving it. I was 12, and it gave me a community, gave me a sense of empowerment. There were people that I really respected and admired who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And by virtue of my faith in their expertise and them telling me like, no, you're good, you got this, it built this bridge for me to start to believe in my own capabilities and worth. So organically, as I got older, right, I began to get healthier, more fit, skin cleared up, got the nose job, not sorry, and really not sorry. And, long story short, it allowed me to rebuild every facet of my life. And I began to appreciate that when we feel strong physically, it transcends into other facets of life, and your health is an excellent platform to build your life on top of. So then I kind of organically fell into helping other people with it.
What age was that?
17.
Okay.
17. So I graduated high school early, not because I am a genius, but because my birthday is on a really weird date, and I'm sure my parents just wanted me out of the house. And I was delivering food for like $5 an hour because the days of $20 Postmates fees did not exist yet. And I was at the gym training for my black belt, and people would come up to me and ask me if I was a trainer. And I thought, like, I wonder how much this job pays. So I started charging $15 an hour, and my mom, thank God, being the voice of reason at the time, was like, I think you need some sort of credential, like a badge. You need something. And she paid for me to get my first training certification. And then the rest is kind of history.
That is incredible. And out of curiosity, do you still do karate today?
I had a kind of a severe injury. Not kind of. I fell. Not everyone's like in the gym. I'm like, no, not in the gym. I had a really bad fall and I fractured my spine and herniated 3 discs. And it was life-changing. So I had a guy named Stu McGill who is like the foremost spine expert in the world, this guy. And he goes, listen, he's like, you'll be fine, but you're never going to have your old back. And he's like, there are things that you will never do again, like jujitsu, for example. And I had just moved to Southern Miami and signed up for jujitsu with my daughter, who was then 11. And I was like, wow. So I don't anymore.
That blows. I'm sorry.
That's why you got to be careful and don't do stupid shit, man.
So 17 years old is when you were in the process of getting your black belt. People ask you at the gym if you train. You weren't a trainer. Your mom helped you get the certification to train. It paid better than the $5 an hour pre-Postmates delivery. When did the Biggest Loser opportunity come about?
13 years after that.
So when you were 30?
30. Yeah, and it was kind of a long journey along the way. And I had the whole, like, I need a real job moment at about 24. Got an office job at a talent agency in Hollywood. Never been more miserable. Left that job at 27. But because of that job, that's how I ended up on The Biggest Loser. Because it allowed me to build a really strong clientele. And one of the agents that I used to work with at ICM heard about the job and put me up for the job. And he was training at a sports medicine facility that I had ended up opening at 30. And then I ended up getting that job. And here we are.
And obviously it was, an incredible run, an incredible experience. But I would say, from my understanding, your experience with the show and your perception of the show wasn't absent of criticisms or things that could have been done differently. And so if you were being asked to do the show again today, how would you want the show to be done differently?
How much time do you have? I mean, do you have?
Yeah, we'll give it 5 to 7 right now.
Got some time. So, okay, the tools that you need to help somebody, and I'm going to say get better because I mean get better, right? When somebody is utilizing food in such a way that they are putting their life at risk imminently, okay, we want them to get better. We want to help them with whatever is underneath that's driving them to either overeat or choose to be a bigger size or both. And whether they realize it or not, it is a choice and they are making it. And generally they don't realize it. It's unconscious. It's a coping mechanism. It's a defense structure for a host of reasons. It could be how they bonded with their mother over food. It could be because they were molested as a child and they see it as a way to desexualize themselves. There's a million different reasons why. But you got to get to the bottom of why. You got to help them understand it. And then you have to give them the tools to work through the pain and cope differently. Because at one time or another, this survival mechanism of either overeating or being a different size represented for them their psychological survival. So letting go of that shit, not going to be easy. And this is why so many people who lose weight put it back on, because diet and exercise are wonderful. They treat symptoms. They'll clear up all the symptoms. But if the problem's not fixed, the symptoms start again. So, knowing that, right, you have a show that is about diet and exercise, which is great. But let's also be honest. If we look at the landscape, okay? Housewives, still on. Kardashians, still on. Amazing Race, still on. Survivor, still on. Loser,
Great
not
show,
on.
by the way. Survivor's the best.
Right. All still on the air.
Yep.
Losers, not on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And the truth is, you can blame, woke, PC, bullshit. The show never won an Emmy. The show was always being criticized. And I think at inception, the producers built something that they intended to humiliate people. You have to remember that this was the time of like the Swan, which you're so young, you're not even probably gonna know what that is, but it was like they would just go out of their way to just humiliate people on these shows. And that's what Loser was supposed to do, right? The Biggest Loser. But all of a sudden, Bob and I get in there and we're like, fuck these guys, right? We're gonna do what we do. And you got a guy that lost 100 pounds in 8 weeks, and the producers are like, wait a minute. We thought we built a Mack truck, but maybe we have a sports car. But everybody was like, I don't know, it looks like a truck, it sounds like a truck, but it's driving like a... So, the whole show was designed at inception to embarrass people, and then they tried to kind of retrofit it. Yeah. And everybody smelled bullshit there. It's an inherent problem. It really is. And the younger generation is just that much more savvy that they weren't willing to kind of look the other way on that. So right off the bat, you got a problem. You need a show that intends to help people from the beginning and then incorporates what is needed, because you need a mental health component in that format to help people. And you don't, in addition, you got a show that's eliminating the people that are doing the most work. In real life, those are the ones that make it, yep. Right? So you got to reverse engineer the show where the person that's doing what needs to be done doesn't get voted off. In fact, nobody gets voted off in life. They fucking quit. So if I did it again, I'd be like, you don't win shit. Here's what you win. You win your life back. And if it's too hard, quit. That's the elimination. Period. Because that's life.
Let's talk about your fitness app, the fitness app. Tell us kind of the story about how it came about. And also, I have to ask, fitness products are incredibly, what it feels like, commoditized these days. And I think that largely feels like the reason, because everyone and their mother is a fitness influencer. And the way you start thinking about monetizing yourself is obviously through your skill set and your craft. And the bar feels pretty low to teach people fitness. So how do you think about differentiating yourself other than having a massive freaking audience?
I've already differentiated myself for better or for worse. You either love me or you hate me. There are people who are like, I love her because she tells the truth. And there are people that are like, I hate her, she's a bitch. The truth is, though, if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong. That said, if I was speaking to somebody younger, I think you need a few things above all else. One is passion. Because I think when you're passionate about what you do, it comes across in the right way to the people that need to hear it. Instead of it being like, look how beautiful I am on Instagram, here's my butt doing squats. The girl that actually is like, I feel so lost, I feel powerless to this, I can't stop eating, or I can't stop doing this, or I can't stop, is going to see a message of strength in your work, and that's going to resonate. Now, there's a whole different group that's going to be like, I want that ass when I do squats, and that's great. I've been both of these people in my quest for wellness. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think being authentic and really being passionate about what you're doing is going to attract an audience that trusts you. Mm-hmm. I just did a hit this morning at a local news station. I haven't done local news in such a long time. I live in Miami, so I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it was the cutest thing. Like, I had women coming at me from all sides, and they're like, oh my God, I did this workout, I did that workout. During COVID, I did this workout. I lost 20 pounds. You got me through this. You got me through post-pregnancy. And it's like, why are they still working out with me? Because it works. Because they get results. So you got to deliver on the promise you make.
The big kind of nuance to this is you're talking about how do you create longevity And the way you create
Yeah.
longevity is through building trust. And it's funny, it's like the win-win because you build trust by creating a product that is authentic to your lived experience because
Yeah.
people are like, wow, this person's being authentic. But also for you, longevity is created because you feel like you could create this content or this product for years without it starting to feel like a chore or burning you out. If it's not part of your lived experience, it makes it way
Yeah.
harder to do it for a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people are always sending me stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't work. You know that, right? And they're like, but we're selling millions of them. I'm like, I cannot go sell that like muscle stimulator thing on QVC for you because it doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
So you also can't be a sellout. You got to be exactly what you said, creating authenticity and therefore trust, and that breeds longevity because everybody else will have fallen off along the way.
Being as famous as Jillian, of course, comes with its fair share of criticism, especially when what you're famous for is being an expert in health, a topic that often feels incredibly sensitive and personal for people. And though Jillian struggled with feeling inadequate as a kid, she's well past the need for approval from others now.
I'm beyond caring what people think about me. I have been for a long time, and only because I've survived what I think, multiple cancel attempts. Like, I hate coming from every direction. And then you end up living another day, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden it just becomes like, oh, is that all? You think like, oh my God, I'm never going to work again. Oh my God, my life is over. Oh my God, everyone hates me. And it's really just this group of lunatics online. It's the tail wagging the dog. And then you continue on, um, and life goes on. So you get past caring.
yeah,
And when people come up to me, they're usually sharing some part of their journey with me. So it's not so much about validating, like, oh, Jill, I know who you are. They're saying, like, I did this and I achieved this, and you got to play this
right,
small role. And then I feel like I have some meaning. Like, it gives
totally.
me meaning in life. And I
It's
think
like why
that's
you
really
do what you
important.
do.
Yes, yes. It makes me feel a little less helpless in a crazy ass world. So it gives me that sense of meaning and purpose. And I love that, and I'm grateful for it. Um, at my age, with everything I've been through, I'm pretty good with myself. I know the areas that need work, and I'm not proud of them. And they all revolve around parenting in large part. I really could do a better job there sometimes. But I work on it, and that is really my biggest kind of like where I have my greatest insecurities is that job. Just god damn, that's a hard job. Wow. And you make big mistakes. And then you think to yourself, like, the way I used to blame my parents for all this shit, that's gonna be
It's the hardest job in the
that's
world.
gonna be them talking about me. Fuck. So, you do the best you can.
We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we'll get into when Jillian first began battling with depression, some of her lowest moments, and the tools that she found to help her work her way back to a healthier mental state. Stay with us. On this show, I talk to people about overcoming the things that used to make them lose sleep. Anxiety, indecision, imposter syndrome, you name it. But once you've done the work to grow beyond your mental blocks, something as simple as an uncomfortable mattress can still stand between you and your best self. That's why I want to tell you about Purple. Their mattresses are made with their revolutionary Gel Flex grid that instantly adapts to movement and keeps you cool all night long so you can experience the restorative sleep you'll need to put your problems in the past. Experience life-changing sleep for yourself with fast, free shipping on select Purple mattresses. Visit a showroom or order online for a 100-night, no-pressure trial. Learn more at purple.com. That's PURPLE.com. Hey everyone, Alex here. I want to tell you all about something healthy and nutritious that I tried recently. It's called AG1, and one delicious scoop every day can give you a massive boost. I like that it's made of 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and adaptogens because they can support so many aspects of your health. AG1 was designed for your active lifestyle, whether that includes a marathon podcast sesh or an actual marathon. Just stir it into a glass of water and go. It's dairy-free and vegan, and a subscription costs less than $3 a day. After trying it myself, I can see why AG1 has over 7,000 five-star reviews. Athletic Greens is giving away a 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/imposters. That's athleticgreens.com/imposters. And we're back. Before the break, Jillian described the path that brought her to The Biggest Loser and how she ultimately got to where she is today. But what many might be surprised to learn is that she has a long history of dealing with depression. So something else you've been open about is your struggle with depression. And I think many people who know you, have heard of you, have seen you on The Biggest Loser, they might be surprised to hear this because on screen you have this infectious personality that is high energy and is confident. And I think maybe stereotypically people don't associate that with someone who is depressed. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with depression and when you first realized that you were struggling with it?
Okay. I have to say this for myself because certain people struggle with it biochemically. They have a
Yep.
constant low-grade depression, like dysthymia, I believe it's called. My mom struggles with it, actually. I am lucky. I do not have that. But I am very impacted by situational depression. And if I am not careful, it can become biochemical and has a couple times in my life. Um, I would say the first period was the 12, 13, 14. Maybe not 14. I think I was coming out of it at 14. Um, but it was this kind of pervasive sense of helplessness at that age and a total lack of self-worth and self-esteem that put me in kind of a dark place. And over time and through martial arts and, redefining my belief in my abilities and rebuilding my self-image, I got healthier. I got stronger physically and mentally. And the
And at
physical
the,
part did transcend. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
no, it's all good. I just, before we kind of move on to the kind of the next call it period in which you felt that the next situation, when you were at that age, say 14, how much awareness did you have around kind of,
None.
yeah.
None. And, part of what I find really disturbing in general with the world these days is that the things I thought, did, and said at that age, like I was homophobic. I was gay and didn't even know I was gay. I would have said to you, I mean, I'm sure I did. Ew, gay. It's disgusting. That's disgusting. I was obviously something was wrong, or not gay being wrong, but something was wrong in that I was fighting something I didn't even understand. Now, if a kid did that now, their life would be over. They'd never work again. There'd be no college. They'd get HIVs slapped on them and they'd be blacklisted forever. Their face would be on the Daily Mail. They get fired from jobs 10 years from now. So I had no understanding. I didn't understand I was depressed. I didn't understand I was gay. I didn't understand any of it. And it came out in a host of ways that were ugly, like me hating gays before realizing I was one. And I gotta say, I give credit to Madonna, because when she came out with "Justify My Love," you had the coolest woman in the world saying, like, not only is this not gross, it's sexy and it's cool. And I was like, sexy and it's cool? What? But nobody understands until somebody helps them understand.
Totally. And that's why
And
it's
if
profound
we,
also when role models end up kind of espousing messages that make people feel seen, right? Because at the end of the day, where do people look to? It's like has a
You make a
big
good
impact.
point. Yeah, you make a great point. So yeah, I didn't have much understanding of it at all. Looking back, obviously, I'm like, whoa, that was a dark time. And I would, order pizza after school and sit on the roof and eat an entire pizza by myself, or I would like, oh God, Jesus. I would go to Taco Bell and order 3 bean and cheese burritos with no onions and extra cheese and a taco supreme and, God bless myself, a Diet Coke. And my mom, it was the 80s. My mom didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a mess as a kid. Well, she got me help, but She didn't interject with things like that. And I don't know if it would have been a good idea had she.
What was the help?
Um, she got me into martial arts and she got me into therapy. And the combo, I really do believe, did the trick. Um, and then at 27, when I had that desk job I had mentioned to you, that had gone so far south, I found myself like, oh God, almost homeless. When I was 17, my parents had ended up saying like, okay, get out. Like, you're done, get out. But I loved the freedom, so it didn't bother me. I wasn't depressed by it. I was like sleeping on couches and finding a way. But I felt free for the first time. At 27, losing this job, I was like scraping up change to put gas in the car to go to interviews. I'd wasted 3 years of my life in the entertainment industry at that time, or so I thought. I was like, I'm 27. I don't have a pot to piss in. I've wasted all this time. I don't know what to do with my life. And I was freaked out. I got out of a relationship I'd been in for 6 years that wasn't healthy. It was all a blessing, but at the time, you're like, whoa, this is dark. And I got put on Zoloft. I got put on Zoloft for the first time. There was a second time, and it helped. It put a floor under me so I could function, because I was like paralyzed. I was having a real hard time, like going to interviews and answering, building resumes. I was really fucked up. It was tough. So that allowed me to kind of get functioning again. And once I was functioning, I was able to get a foothold and start rebuilding my life. And then I was tapering off of it. And the third time was when I knew I needed to get a divorce, even though I wasn't married to Heidi. I mean, I may as well have been. We had 2 kids together and houses and all of this shit, and had been together 8 years. And I was like, this is going to be hell. I used to say it felt like, when you're kind of circling around the event horizon of a black hole and you got to go in. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. Like, how do I unwind this? And it's like you miss the person that you fell in love with. You're totally miserable in the relationship. You're going to ruin your kids' lives. And you've got a hellish couple of years.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose.
It's just, you're fucked, right? So that was a bad one. And that was this, I said to my shrink, because like I would fall asleep and listen, I have never had suicidal tendencies, but sometimes when you think to yourself, if the bus took me out right now, would this be a relief? And it's like, whoa, that's not a good feeling. And I said to my shrink, I was like, I don't think I'm okay. And I think I need to get on something again. And he sent me to a psychiatrist who got me on. I said, listen, I've been taking, back in the day, I took Zoloft and it worked really well for me.
And then you went off of it.
Yeah. And then he gave me, so at 40, whenever I got this divorce, 42, put me back on Zoloft. A pediatric dose is all I needed because I'm tiny, tiny. And I was on it for about a year and it got me through it. And I got off of it again. And there have been times where I'm like, no, like I can get through this. We're not there yet. Because again, I understand that bad shit in life happens. The issue is when it becomes biochemical and you're no longer able to handle your business.
Yeah.
And then it begets itself. Once it becomes biochemical, you're in an impossible spider web, and you got to break that. You got to break it. And that's where I think you got to see a psychiatrist.
You've mentioned now, call it like 3 periods in your life where you experienced, some flavor of depression that at times turned biochemical. So the first was when you were a kid, had no sense of who you were, no self-love, and it seemed like your coping mechanism, at least one of them, was overeating and eating to work through those feelings.
Yeah, 100%.
And it sounds like the tools you were given to navigate that was martial arts, which was, let's call it part health and wellness, part community, and then also the therapist. Yeah. Second was you were working that desk job. It was after you were 17, you were kicked out of the house, but were fine with it and just felt so lost. And at the bottom, that's when you started taking Zoloft. And the final was around your divorce, you started taking medication again.
Yeah.
Talk about what were your coping mechanisms in those second two periods, and what were tools that you used actively in your life beyond just medication?
Therapy. I was in therapy, and my shrink has been my shrink for a really long time. And he's kind of like he's my compass. He kind of brings me back to center, and he's my sounding board and helps me reflect and calls me out on my shit, which by the way I need. That's one thing that I don't think I got across well enough is I need tough love.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say I was in martial arts, it was health and wellness, but I mean I used to get the shit kicked out of me, and not in a way of like it wasn't gratuitous. It was like I'll never forget. I was fighting in the studio. I was sparring with my karate teacher, and he kicked me in the stomach in the corner, knocked the wind out of me. And I was like, oh my God, this son of a bitch kicked me hard. I'm 12, right? How dare he? I'm crying. I'm like pissed. I'm indignant. And I'm like sitting in the corner crying, and he's like, get up and fight. And I still cry, and he kicks me again through the wall and through the drywall. And he goes, I swear to God, if you do not get out of that fucking corner, I will break every rib in your body. And I was like, I got out of that corner. And the thing is, people nowadays are like horrified. They'd call,
Yeah, I was going
who
to
knows?
say, at the karate studio today.
No shot, right?
Yeah.
No way does that happen. And it's so funny because one of my now very close friends is my daughter's karate instructor in Los Angeles. And we talk about how, our training was so different than what's allowed now. But what he was doing was essentially showing me that like life does not stop kicking you. So whether you're a victim or not is totally irrelevant. Get up and fight your way out of this. And then you can look back and do a postmortem on what's right and what isn't. But at the end of the day, how you're going to respond to the shit that isn't fair is what's going to allow you to move forward. So, my shrink does not break every rib in my body, but he will be like, I'm going to call bullshit on you.
Yeah.
I think that you're projecting and you're doing this and that's not right. And, like with my kids, he's like, no, you can't do that. This is not okay. You're going to end up doing this, this, and this, and this to her or whatever. So having somebody really call me out on my shit works for me. I need it. It works for me because I have the self-esteem to tolerate knowing that I am deeply flawed, and it gives me a quicker way to get better. So that works well for me. Friends, but they've got to be the right ones because the wrong ones can make you feel worse. So my brother who called right before our interview, we're really close. He's much younger than me, but we're very, very close. So he lived with me actually during that time because he broke up with his girlfriend, and I moved in to our beach house because we had a farmhouse, and my brother moved in with me during that time for a couple of years. And I don't think without him living with me.
Sounds like a really special relationship.
Yeah, we're really close. He would like pick me up off the floor some days. So having at least one person, or maybe get to a group outside, or maybe take a class somewhere, or find like-minded people, I think that's so important. And then, last but not least, I am huge in taking control of what I can. Mm-hmm. So for example, when I fractured my spine, I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. 3 months, I could not stand up. And I was like, I, by the way, did not get on medication because had Stu McGill helping me with like, no, this is what we're going to do. No, you're going to be okay. No, you're going to, it's going to be okay. And my wife was like, you're fine. It's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. You're going to walk again. My acupuncturist, I had like a team helping me. So what I got into was like, I got into Wim Hof, like all the way down the Wim Hof rabbit hole, right? Before everybody was cold plunging.
I was going to say, that's a big, deep rabbit hole right now.
Yeah. I got into Wim Hof and I watched his documentary and I started to do like cold exposure, more breath work, got into the acupuncture more than I ever had before. I started supplementing all this crazy, weird anti-inflammatory shit. I started, following like Huberman Labs and, all these Rhonda Patrick, like, because I was like, I'm going to heal my body, so help me God. And I remember watching the Wim Hof documentary, and there was a guy with cancer. And he goes, what I love so much about this is it gives me something I can control.
Yep.
And I was like, son of a bitch. What can you control? Is it 30 seconds of cold exposure? Is it your diet? Is it your supplement regimen? Where can you start to claw back control? And I think that helps so much.
Yeah, I think it's such a profound point. No matter kind of what you're experiencing, just focusing on the controllables. And as long as you do that, you can't have regrets around the choices that you've made. Jillian Michaels, thank you so much for joining Imposters.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments your favorite part of this episode, and also what guest you would love to see on Imposters moving forward. And finally, like and subscribe so you get content from this show every single week. I'll see you guys next time.